Let's bring it to governance.
Yeah.
What's the role of government in all of this? And what you saw and came out of it, what's the state of security in Nigeria?
Yeah, really, of course, insecurity in Nigeria is not a hidden reality again, and insecurity. And I'll tell you a very short story.
Tell me.
Peter Obi was governor of Anambra State. Let me not make a blunder, but I know at some point for 8 years. Yeah. But before he came on board, kidnapping was very, very bad in Anambra State. Very, very bad. But as soon as he came on board, kidnapping disappeared. It just disappeared in Anambra State. Now that he's out, we have a successful government, it has almost like come back in some sense. What am I trying to say? If government want to stop kidnapping in Nigeria, if they really want to stop it, I believe they have the willpower, the capacity, the wherewithal to do it. Because these kidnappers use telephone, they use conversations, and I quoted General Sani Abacha, who famously have said that when insecurity persists beyond 24 hours, watch it. You know, so sometimes I feel that government have done so much, but government have also failed a lot of us, including myself.
I know.
In that regard. So it is sometimes it depends on who is kidnapped. I'm sure if they kidnap the son of the president, it's not going to stay long to be out of the place. If they kidnap the son of a nobody, well, people will have to struggle to bring you out. But the whole thing is actually, it's beyond. When I've also listened to the military people in the highest office, sometimes they will say, just defend yourself. We've heard the chief of defense that they are talking about people defending themselves.
The TY Danjum, a lot of times.
Exactly. Defend yourself. So when people at that level are telling people who, I don't even know how, if you ask to defend myself, I don't even know what to do.
Exactly.
I've never held gun in my life. The first time I came close to gun was the first time I was in the hands of kidnappers. So if people who really should have access to defending us are telling us to defend ourselves, I think it's really, really bad.
What was the feeling like when you got the transfer to leave Nigeria to United Kingdom? Did you say, "Oh, thank God"?
No, to be honest with you, first of all, I wasn't sent here because of my experience. It's just a normal routine transfer that brought me here.
Okay.
So unfortunately, I'm saying that because those who have been involved with me, you know, are still there back home, and there are many people who are still back in Nigeria who have gone through the worst of humiliation. More than when I mean, there are many stories that are even more horrible than myself. For example, imagine somebody being kidnapped and being kept in the same room with a python. Imagine that kind of situation. So mine, at least I've never stayed with a python in a room, but there are people that have gone through that
in Nigeria,
and I've listened to them talk, and I've sat down with them for that kind of humiliation. So I wouldn't say hooray, because I know that my heart is still there.
Yeah.
There are many people who are still. So as I'm here, I still try to find out what is happening.
Where the heart is.
Exactly, what is happening to somebody. You know, has somebody found counseling, trauma care, has somebody eating, and all of that? Because I know one of the persons, to show you how bad it is, one of those that where we're taken to, there was a pastor with 3 of his members that were there. They were there 2 weeks before we arrived. And after 1 week, the family of the pastor and his members sent some money. So they released one person. They released the pastor and kept 3 of his members. Now, eventually we left those 3 there. But one of them made a comment. He said, instead of them to pay more money to these terrorists, they prefer to stay there. You know why? Because the problem they will face going back,
I know,
is more than what they are. Because he said they know they have already incurred so much. They have so many lands to be able to raise the money they gave them. So they don't have anything again. Going back is even worse for them. So imagine when somebody prefers to stay with terrorists than to go back to his family. You can imagine that kind of. So it's a very horrible, terrible situation. Yeah.
Really, really emotional story. Just try to summarize it for me, the release process in the hands of the kidnappers, and when you finally saw light.
The release process, I will again refer people to my book so that people can read the story. But the release process, first of all, it was a little bit interesting in the sense that nobody, they don't tell you what is going on. They just come and say, oh, come out. You're going to be free today. No, you go back. You're not free. Okay? It happens. After 30 days, they came back and said to us, they brought all of us and said, everybody's going home.
How many were you guys?
We were 4. So they put a call through to confirm that all of us were still alive. The person doing the negotiation.
Okay.
So after he confirmed they were all alive, I'm sure money was exchanging her at some point, he released 2 and kept 2. So even when they were releasing the 2, we didn't know what was happening. We didn't know whether they were going home.
Were you maxed up?
At some point, yes. Okay. So we didn't know whether they were going home through home or they were going somewhere else. So the whole thing was shrouded in some kind of secrecy and not too open and all of that. So, but at the end of the day, all of us are here.
Thank God for this is a miracle. That's all that comes to mind. Let's wrap this up now. You have an opportunity to speak to government with your experience. How can we change this situation?
First of all, I know that it is within our power to change the horrible insecurity in Nigeria. There is nowhere in the world that the level of violence is allowed against its people. I mean, we know there are pockets of criminality here and there, but the level of kidnapping that happens unabated in our land is unacceptable. And I'm sure the federal government knows that. We don't need to tell, they know it. It's unacceptable. If few people are protected and are free, and everybody else is feeling the hinge, do you know that it is almost impossible in Nigeria not for you not to have a brother or a sister or a neighbor or a cousin or a friend that has been kidnapped? It's almost impossible.
Wow.
It's almost impossible. So it's a widespread. Again, this thing used to be located around Maiduguri. It moved.
That's sweeping.
It has moved to northeast, northwest,
South.
north central, everywhere. So it is completely unacceptable. And the government, federal government, we have begged them enough. People have spoken enough. Notable people have spoken enough. At some point, I don't know exactly what else we need to do. I don't know what else we need to do, but we just know that in the community of nations, we are not measuring up, because sometimes when people look at our story back at home, they feel, what kind of place is this?
I know. Father Stephen, first, before we go, guys, Tears and Torture, it's on Amazon, written by Reverend Father Stephen Ojapah. Please go read it. It's inspiring. I see a miracle in this, and I want to say thank you so much, Father, for your time with me today. And God bless you as you continue to do his works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Austin.
Thanks so much.
Nice to meet you.
All right.